The sun was bleeding red over the Arizona desert when the roar of a dozen Harley-Davidsons suddenly choked into a sickly sputter and died. In the middle of that pack of black leather and chrome sat Reaper, president of the local Hells Angels charter, staring down at his 1969 Shovelhead like it had just betrayed his own blood. That bike wasn't just transportation, it was his crown, the one he'd rebuilt with his own hands after coming home from Vietnam missing half his friends. For 24 hours straight, every mechanic in the club, men who could tear down a panhead blindfolded, had torn into that engine. Nothing. It would crank, cough, then fall silent like a man taking his last breath. The brothers were exhausted, pissed off, and starting to whisper that maybe the old girl was cursed. That's when they noticed him. An ancient man in a rusted wheelchair, blanket over his lap, rolling himself across the cracked asphalt of the clubhouse lot like he belonged there. His legs ended just below the knees, his face was a road map of scars and sunburn, and a faded 1st Cavalry Division cap sat crooked on his head. The prospect at the gate tried to wave him off, but the old man just kept coming until he stopped right in front of Reaper's dead motorcycle. "Mind if I take a look, son?" His voice was soft, but it cut through the desert wind like a knife. Reaper almost laughed. This was Hell's Angels territory. Nobody touched the president's bike, especially not some crippled grandpa who looked like he belonged in a nursing home. But something in the old man's eyes, steady, knowing, almost amused, made Reaper step back. "Knock yourself out, Pops." The old man wheeled closer, laid one trembling hand on the Shovelhead's primary cover, and closed his eyes. The whole yard went quiet. You could hear the buzz of a single fly. 30 hardened bikers held their breath while this stranger just listened to a motorcycle that wouldn't speak to any of them. 30 seconds. A minute. Then he opened his eyes and said, "She's heartbroken." The brothers snorted. Heartbroken? Reaper crossed his arms, ready to tell the old man to get lost, when the stranger reached into the pocket of his army jacket and pulled out a tiny, tarnished silver locket on a broken chain. He held it up so the light caught the engraving, a woman's name, Clara. "Your wife?" the old man asked. Reaper's jaw tightened. Nobody outside the club knew about Clara, how she died riding behind him 23 years ago when a drunk cager crossed the line. How he'd kept that locket taped inside the battery box ever since, like carrying her heart under the seat would keep her close. The old man didn't wait for an answer. He popped the primary cover with fingers that suddenly didn't shake at all, reached in past the chain, and gently peeled the locket free from where the tape had finally rotted away. The broken chain had wrapped itself around the clutch hub centuries ago, quietly grinding, starving the engine of oil until one by one every bearing seized in silent grief. The bike hadn't been dying. It had been trying not to leave her behind. Reaper just stared, throat working, unable to speak. The old man cleaned the locket on his shirt, pressed it into Reaper's hand, and whispered, "She don't need to ride inside no more. She's been with you the whole time." Then he spun his chair, rolled to the toolbox, grabbed a torque wrench like he'd done it yesterday, and in 15 minutes had the primary reassembled, fresh oil gleaming. He hit the kicker once. The Shovelhead fired to life with a roar so perfect it sounded like the desert itself was cheering. If you felt that lump in your throat just now, hit that subscribe button real quick so you don't miss the next story that'll wreck you in the best way. Reaper killed the engine, walked over, and did something nobody in that yard had ever seen. He dropped to one knee in the dust in front of the wheelchair. The old man placed a hand on his head like a father forgiving a wayward son. "You kept your promise," he said. "You brought her home safe every mile you could. Time to let the road take you both the rest of the way." Later that night, under a sky full of stars sharp enough to cut your soul, the club threw the biggest party the desert had ever seen. But the loudest sound wasn't the music or the burnouts, it was grown men with teardrops tattooed under their eyes crying without shame while Reaper rode slow circles around the fire, the empty space behind him on the seat glowing like someone was finally, truly there. They never saw the old man again. Some say he rolled out into the darkness and just kept going. Others swear when the fire burned low they saw two silhouettes on that bike for just a second, a young soldier and his girl, before the flames took the image away. And that Shovelhead? It never missed a beat again. Still runs like the day it rolled off the line, carrying a love that no amount of mileage could outrun. So tell me in the comments, from which part of the country are you watching this video right now? Drop your city or state below, I read every single one.